So how did you sustain motivation after you no longer were an owner, but you had to run the company?
I don't know that I did. The three biggest changes were, one, I actually had money, as someone who grew up with not really much, and someone who started working as an 18-year-old for a sports agency, and someone who, went to work at Kraft Foods, which is a perfectly fine job. Like, I never really had lots of money, but now all of a sudden I did. So I became a millionaire, right, as proverbially people would say. So that's the thing that happened, number one. I think that happened, number two, is I had a boss, right? It wasn't me waking up doing whatever I thought was best for the business. It was me waking up doing what those guys thought was best for the business. And then third, my own ego that came with the transaction, either because I had money or because I had a big public transaction. I started running a little bit in the wrong crowd, crowd of high-flying entrepreneurs that, are great humans, but just aren't really me. I was dating a very toxic woman who was sort of money and tangible things centric, and that was a bad sort of relationship. So it was like this year of muck that sort of followed between my own bad decisions that came from having money, like buying a freaking condo. I didn't need to. I mean, it's beautiful and I made money when I sold it, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't need to do it. And running with this girlfriend and running with a crowd of high-flying entrepreneurs, it just wasn't in my nature to do that. I think in hindsight, if I could do things that were more in my nature, in my DNA, I would have, but I was trying to punch above my weight class, trying to do what I thought guys that just had sold their business for millions of dollars did, but it wasn't me. And that's kind of the big deal.
How did you find this road back to yourself?
I'm still on it. What are you talking about? How did I find it? I haven't found it yet.
It's been 10 years. You made some progress.
True. Yeah, it's been 10 years. But to be frank, only recently, and by recently, I mean within the last several months, through therapy, have I started to zoom out on the situation and think of my experience with Protein Bar and then my subsequent experience with Limitless and selling to Kurt Dr. Pepper, and then my next one of Shopflix exiting to QVC. Zoom out and thinking of it as a small period of time in my life, and even more existentially, a small period of time in the history of sort of me and the world and humanity. So just recognizing that these are sort of small blips. And then if you picture a stock chart, right? If you look at the one-day stock chart, you see lots of up and downs, but if you zoom out on it in the lifetime, you don't see as much. It tends to smooth out. So that's sort of the approach that I'm trying to take now, especially as I'm 44 and I'm kind of thinking I'm at that middle point of my life. So trying to make the back half as strong and as possible.